And welcome. And someone already said what's up. The Animal Sanctuary said what's up. That must be your guy. But hey, give me we're getting some popping comments already. But yes, welcome to our show. And for my fans out there, if you were wondering where in the world I was for the last week, since I did not post for like a week, I was on vacation. I took it easy, didn't even touch my YouTube. I did refresh and got like 3 subs out of doing nothing, so I'll more than take it. But I see you 3 commenters out there: Animal Sanctuary, Moses Lutz, and William Cook. Must be the fans of the J Trident podcast.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, but hey, also give me the subscribe to RooftopMariner. And here's what we're going over today. We're going to go over the post-game show for the Seattle Mariners of them just completely manhandling the Miami Marlins. And we're going to go over everything that's happened in the last 7 days just to get me to catch up on things, since all I did was look at the scoreboard. That's literally all I did, other than being on vacation for pretty much a week. So, well, first we'll start off. Well, now, before we start, for those that have jumped into this channel, you guys have obviously been subscribing to the J Trident podcast, but also give me one as well, as we are in a partnership of doing shows. We try to do it at least once a week. We do post-game shows. We do some series post-series shows, and we do some live streaming during games to also be our own radio, in case you are tired of the likes of the Dave Sims, Aaron Goldsmith, maybe Rick Riz. I like Rick Riz, though. But before we even get started, let's play this super quick ad, because this show is sponsored by the Modern Exterior Solutions.
Modern Exterior Solutions is a fully licensed and insured full-service exterior renovations company serving Seattle and East Side communities. We know that a home is one of your most important possessions. That's why we're committed to providing high-quality, affordable home renovations for each customer's individual budget. We're diverse enough to meet the challenges of any project you put in front of us. Our workmanship minimizes the use of third-party services, and our team works together to meet all your deadlines. Anytime there's a challenge, we work with you to find a solution. We're proud to work with distributors of quality brand products with durable, ample protection from the elements for a variety of applications, including James Hardie siding and trim. Talk with us today about your project's needs, and we can help you solve all the challenges along the way.
And for you, if you are in King County, Seattle, or basically any in that area, give this guy a call, 206-992-4465, if you would like some siding, painting, gutter cleaning done, and more. And use this promo code, Modern Rooftop, to get 20% off your first service. And fun fact, I actually work for this guy too. I actually ripped some siding stuff on the houses today at around 7, 8 in the morning. So, yeah, this is obviously not the only thing I do. But yes, go ahead. If you need some home improvement, get that done. Now, let's get into the post game. So I'm just looking at the score because I got home from my other job. And the old saying, do not quit your day job until you're Mr. Beast. Maybe. But looks like the Mariners won 8-1. And I will summarize it really, really quick. So it looks like Bryce Miller had a pretty good outing. 6 strikeouts on 3 walks. Gave up only a run, which was a home run. So that pitch must have been like an oopsie. And the bullpen basically didn't give up squat at all. Didn't even give up a hit. So the bullpen is doing exactly how a lot of fans out there advertise them to be. And some hitting on offensive end. We got Ty France finally hitting a home run. It seems like he doesn't really hit home runs anymore. Eugenio Suarez, good vibes only, hit a home run. And Tom Murphy, backup catcher, also hit a home run. And to you, Mr. J Trident Podcast, what did you see in this game today that really stood out to you?
Yeah, first and foremost, to the people that joined, thank you. So those are 3 of my favorite subscribers, always commenting. So I truly, truly appreciate it. Give Rooftop a sub while you're here. And also, I think this is the first post-game / live stream we've done that we've actually get to talk about a win, if I'm not mistaken. I think every other one has been a loss.
I think it was a loss. Oh my gosh. And I think every time we did a live show, we've also lost. We're 0-2 so far.
Yeah. Actually 0-3 because we did a live after the Blue Jays. It was a Castillo start. They lost. The Pirates game was 3-3. And then that Yankee game that we did. I don't know if we did another one in there. I don't remember, but this is definitely the first time we've gotten to.
Actually, you know what? Due to the Mariners playing absolutely atrocious when we plan or even do live shows, this is our final episode of doing a show like this together.
Yes.
Just kidding. That's not happening. We're still doing it.
Yeah, not our fault. Not our fault. But yeah, just from start to finish, real great win. I mean, they were up 6-0 after the second inning against Luzardo. He's been a pretty good pitcher this year, so that was nice to see. Miami's coming in really hot. I think they've won 12 out of 15. So just from start to finish, the bats were great. Some long balls, 3 home runs tonight. Bryce Miller was fantastic. Thought the command control wasn't his best of the season, but with how poor he's been the last 2 starts, absolutely needed this from him to kind of just a get-right game. And then the bullpen just came in and finished it off. I didn't realize the Mariners only gave up 1 hit, and it was that solo home run. So technically, the Marlins did not have a base runner. Oh, that's not true. The Mariners did walk a few hitters, so that's a dumb
3
statement.
walks, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing is we ruined – what's his name? I can't even say his name. He's a second baseman. Luis Arraez. Luis Arraez. We totally ruined his day because there was talk of him being a 400 hitter because the last person to do it was Ted Williams back in 1941, and his batting average just dipped to 391. So another kudos to the Mariners pitcher for completely sabotaging his odds so far of hitting 400, and it's not even still half of baseball. So look what Bryce Miller did. Not only did he pitch pretty well, he also ruined the guy's day of tanking his batting average. So let's hope the Mariners starters, which they are to be, let's hope they keep continuing this so we could at least be the team that says, hey, we ruined this guy's chance of getting 400, and maybe they will go back to those 3 games and say, yep, it was the Mariners' fault.
Right, because those have been the guys that just killed the Mariners this year, so they kept a rise off the base paths. That meant nobody on base for Soler. And beating a good team. The Marlins have been good. We know this team has struggled with teams above 500 this season. So finally nice to see them take care of business. And they need to win this series. I'll never say you have to sweep. The Marlins have been good this year. But if this team wants to get it turned around, it's about time to sweep some series here and kick it into gear.
Allow me to object to that because let me look at this calendar and bear with me, my fans, but – oh, man, I got to go to this Mariners schedule because I'm going to tell you exactly why I think a sweep is more than the bare minimum at this point.
Well, I won't disagree. They need to start doing it.
Yeah, because here's what we've got. Mariners got completely just wrecked by the Rangers. They split against the Padres and lost a series to the Angels, which really shouldn't have happened. So by getting a sweep, you'll make up for not sweeping San Diego, and you'll at least make up losing the series against the Angels. At this point, we're not making up anything on Texas, but at least make up for those 3 losses and at least make it, I guess that would be like a -1 from the past week. But 2 more games, let's go and get that sweep. And before we get into the next 2 games, or at least the next game, is there anything else we should add about this game other than the fact that Bryce Miller ruined the guy's day? We got some home runs, especially by Ty France, which they really needed. Good Vibes Only got a home run as well.
I think Tom Murphy is big, getting a home run. He's actually right now hitting better than Cal Raleigh is this season with where they're at. So that's good to see. And Teoscar Hernandez has been red hot. He had a couple hits and a double. So that's really good to get him going for this team. So all around, I mean, and the bats are starting to come alive. They actually, on the road trip, they weren't terrible. Now, were they amazing? No. And the pitching kind of blew up on the road trip. But the offense, and we've talked about it before, that this is too talented of an offense to be terrible. And they're starting to get it together a little bit. If they can get the pitching back now, and the offense together, I still think they have a chance to. Division might be too far to reach, but maybe make some noise in the wild card.
I will say, I think the part of this team that's actually struggling, and almost nobody is ever going to admit it, it's practically blasphemous to say, but that starting pitching has actually been a concern, and I don't think anyone wants to admit it because, of course, the mainstreamers, the big fanboys or whatever, the homers, they all want to say it's offense, lack of offense. Like, even if the offense scores 8 runs, but the pitching gives up 9, who do they blame? They just blame the offense. Like, oh yeah, you should have scored 10. But I've been looking at some of those stats on starting pitching, and they've been getting spanked quite a bit. And then granted, these are like good teams that the Mariners are playing, but if the Mariners are going to be like this contending team, they got to be able to lock it down against big offenses.
Yeah, the starting pitching's been a concern the last couple of weeks, like you said, and it's kind of funny because for a while it was the offense. The pitching was great, and the offense just wasn't bailing them out. The offense has started to heat up, and then the pitching just, went into the tank. And now I think it's going to be okay, but there is some concerns. Like, Logan and George Kirby need to kind of stop with this one great start, and then they just get destroyed. Like, you're not going to be on your game every day. We all know that. Some days you're just going to be a little off. But you need to, like yesterday, I was talking about my post game. Logan needs to find a way to go 5 innings and give up 4 earned runs. That's not a great start, but you know what? They probably would have won the game yesterday with that. So you can't go with this like 8 innings, 1 earned run, and then 4 innings, 8 earned run the next day for some of these guys. Castillo's been solid, but then the depth's being tested. Like, Brian Wu looked really good on Saturday, but him and Bryce Miller are still a little unproven. So with Marco hurt and Robbie Ray out, if this team does stay in contention, I absolutely think they need to add some starting pitching.
So yeah, and unless we can bank on like the Brian Woos and the Emerson Hancock stepping up, I still think honestly it is way too much to bank on. So I wouldn't. Something tells me that looks like Mariners may be shopping for someone in the starting rotation or maybe in the bullpen just so they can make room for starting pitching. But another underrated thing I would like to say about what the Mariners are going on is Dylan Moore. Now, has he gotten a hit? Obviously not, because he just came back from a very nasty injury. But the numbers that everyone is ignoring probably, unless you're a Moneyball type of person, fanatic like I am, Dylan Moore has 2 walks and 3 strikeouts. So his ratio is still pretty good. He's not getting the hits, obviously, and his on-base percentage is still below 300. But if you're striking out just 3 times and at least you make it up with walks, that's not the worst thing in the world. So hopefully Dylan Moore can keep that going. But let's face it, like, Dylan Moore is not supposed to be the star of the team. He's that utility guy, just like the days reminds me of Willie Bloomquist, Rich Amaral, and Mark McLemore. So for now, I'm not too worried about Dylan Moore. As long as he does those little things where, like, even if he gets out but the guy goes to third base, I will more than take it, which is what he is known to do. He is known to get the quality outs because someone moves.
Yep. He's going to work the count, give you quality at bat, good defensive player, good speed on the base paths. He can steal you a base, and he can run into one every now and then too. And even though he's kind of off to a slow start since coming back a little bit, still better than what Colton Wong's given them. And I know it's like funny to say because he didn't do anything today, but to your point, like, he kind of helps extend that lineup, especially against lefties. It's another good, he can mash left-handed pitching. I think his like WRC plus against lefties last year was in the 140s, 150s. Could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But it's just, you see this lineup against lefties, you go, okay, it's actually not that bad. You got Caballero in there. It can give JP a day off against lefties. They were able to give Kelenic a day off today against a lefty. So it is a huge, huge addition to get Dylan back.
Yeah, for sure. And let's hope that he can continue to make that progress and contribute to this team, which he has absolutely been missed this season. And I think a lot of people underestimate of how devastating that Dylan Moore loss really has been. And I'm not the one to say injuries as an excuse, but I think maybe at least a few of those games could have been impacted had Dylan Moore been healthy. But after that, let's go over some of the comments. I want to go through the last few. Animal Sanctuary says, I think Tom Murphy is a big underdog. He looks really good. Yep. We all expected that. And some of the pictures you saw, he really did work on his body. Like there are people even saying jokes about him that he's the Chad or something. But after that, we got spoiled last year by William Cook. No missed starts on all last year, which is absolutely true, which makes me believe that, I will say this, if the whole Scott Service load management thing really worked, those injuries wouldn't be happening. So I think maybe Scott Service should try something different with this, how he manages his pitchers. Now, it's a really complicated thing to explain, but sometimes I feel, I know nobody does it, but I would like any pitcher to at least hit into the hundreds, at least if they're hot. If they're doing well, just let them stay just a little bit longer. And plus, sometimes like pulling too early might actually mess with rhythm too. That's just my crazy theory that no one wants to believe, but whatever. Hopefully we have a late start by Mr. Moses and just get going when everything calms down. I sense a massive winning streak coming. Our talent is too big, which is true. But if you're expecting a 14-game winning streak, well, we better call Jesse Winker, trade for him, have him start a fight, and then we'll spark the 14. But even that is too much to bank on. William Cook, again, the upcoming schedule is very tough. That is true, because after that, got the White Sox, which is doable because they're in a bad division. Then you're at New York, it's going to be a challenge. At Baltimore, then we get a little play against the Nationals, and then Rays for the conclusion of June. So, yes, schedule is not our friend. And, yes, he did point those out, too. Look at that.
And Arizona. Arizona, they've been really good, surprisingly. I will be at hopefully all those games.
Yeah, and too bad Kyle Lewis is not there to contribute much for the team at all. It's really unfortunate. And then this is random. Miami Heat losing was virtually an inevitability. Well, yeah, when you're the 8th seeded team, expected to, but still hats off to them even making the finals as an 8th seed.
I didn't even know what was going on.
The Florida Panthers could go down tomorrow. Okay, so this guy's going off on. Wait, woman. It's Hannah. Hannah, I'm so sorry. Oh, my God, I misgendered again. Well, better call the cancel cultures.
I
yes,
agree,
that schedule is clear.
Yep. I think Vegas ends the Stanley Cup tomorrow.
Tom Murphy, isn't that home run hitter, but can count on to get singles? Yep, that's true.
He does have some pop, though. He's got some pop.
Yeah, and this is just side note, but yes, Miss Hannah. If you're wondering how I feel about that U20 World Cup, South Korea did reach 4th place. And yes, the under-20 Italy team got their revenge for their daddies back in the 2002 World Cup when Korea defeated Italy in 2002. So yes, congratulations, Italy, for beating my country, avenging your father's losses. Good job. Not really. But I think that's all we've got so far for the Mariners game. Now we got to look into the next game, which is going to be Tuesday, the 13th. And let's take a look at the matchups. We got Cabrera with a 4.29 ERA and George Kirby with a 5-5 record with a 3.50 ERA. And let's take a look and see how George Kirby did the last game. His last outing was against San Diego, and he got absolutely rocked, giving up 5 runs, 11 hits, only 3 strikeouts, and only 3.2 innings pitched. And his Yankees game, that one he didn't even get a decision, but he pitched very well that game. But he's been very up and down. Like you said, he's very streaky. Like it seems like it trades off of each other. But hopefully the Miami game, he's gonna have to step up on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been that him and Logan Gilbert both just seem to be rotating good and bad. And like I said, it's okay. Sometimes you're not going to be on your game, but those two have got to find a way to get through that 5 innings with just a few earned runs and hope the offense picks them up. I think when you're around the strike zone as much as Kirby is, you're always going to be susceptible to that just because he is in the zone so much. But, you see the good and the bad with Kirby. Like last time out in the zone got hit. Against the Yankees, though, he dominated. So I think Kirby's fine. It's just when you're in the zone that much, you're always going to be a little susceptible to have starts like that.
Yep, that is for sure. And let's just hope that he can step this up and help secure the Mariners at least a win. Now, just to look a little bit ahead, we've got Wednesday, got Luis Castillo, La Piedra, 4-4 with a 2.70 ERA. And even I have my nitpicking concerns on him against Mr. Perez. He is 3-1. His name is Uri Perez, 3-1 with a 2.17 ERA. So I'm going to say this. George Kirby, you got to get that win. Mariners, you got to give him that run support if he pitches well, because I know when he pitches well, he gets no run support. So you better figure out a way to win this game, because there is no guarantees on the Castillo game too. So got to get the win tomorrow, and just to put us in a good position to at least complete that sweep. And it looks like William Cook said he started last year with 23 consecutive strikes. It's pretty random fact.
That was against the Nationals. He had that game where he had 23 straight strikes to start. So yeah, Kirby, I mean, I don't think anybody's in the strike zone more than George Kirby. Actually makes me wonder if he'd benefit a little bit from going outside the zone occasionally, just because sometimes I think he's just so in that strike zone, he's susceptible to getting hit. But Kirby's fantastic. They need to stop with the back and forth.
Back and forth. And CK888 says the Mariners may only be a game under 500. I think they're a little bit more under than that.
No, they're only
but
one under.
They're actually ahead of last year's record of 27-33. Now, I love that point. I want to believe in that point, but I am going to actually take a look at the standings from June of 2022. Well, I'm going to have my 2023 pulled up, and I'm going to take a look at June 12th of 2022.
Oh, and that is, before you pull that up, that is the difference, is the AL is stronger this year. There's a lot.
That's what I was going to say too, is I think I want to love that argument, but unfortunately I think it's a very weak argument, because last year the division was just a joke. It was basically just Houston, like no doubt about it. Now, let me share that screen really quick just to have put some perspective in there.
I do think it's a fair point, because I will say they don't need a 14-game winning streak. If you can find a way to get 7 out of 8 here or something, you are going to get right back in it.
And for you fans out there, take a look at the standings right now. And it said Houston was pretty much the only one leading the division. And in this, so I'll just read it off to you. Houston was 37-23, Texas 28-31 before they laid an egg. Angels were 29-33 when they were having that meltdown after firing Joe Madden around that time. Mariners were 27-33. Oakland, well, they're Oakland. And now this year, we've got Texas Rangers at 41-24, Houston at 37-29, Angels at 37-31, and the Mariners at 32-33. So it is a much different season. I hate to say it now. If it was last year, wow, even with that record last year, they still would be behind in the division by a significant amount. And it's really sad to see where the Mariners are at in the division, because Scott Service was saying, yeah, let's get the division. But now they are 9 games back. Now let's look at the wild card and see where it's at. We've got Baltimore leading the wild card, and it's not even close for the first spot. And wow, Mariners are 4.5 out on the wild card. So Mariners have a lot of ground to make up, and I am going to say it. This right here is literally the reason why I never say it's too early. Just relax. They're trying to figure it out. Even like Jeff Passan of all people was like, it was just 5 games. You guys got to relax. Like, no, you got to at least put yourself in a position to not make up for things late in the season. The next thing you know, you're missing playoffs by like 1 or 3 games. And then all you're going to say is, oh, well, like, they're not going to, you ask them something like, hey, remember those first 3 months where you said it was too early? And what did they say? They say nothing. And they probably just say, you're not a true fan. So
yeah, they all count as one. I mean, at the end of the day, wins in April count just as much as in September. And I was pretty, I'm willing to always give the team about a month to find their way and not bury themselves as the goal, obviously. But look at what the standings you pulled up. The division's probably over. You know what I mean? Like last year, yeah, they were 10 back, and I think last year's Astros are better than this year's Rangers, but there was no teams really in between them. They passed Texas and Anaheim easy. They've got to leapfrog Anaheim, Texas, and Houston this year, and I don't see that happening. So we're already at a point where we're pretty much just looking at the wild card. Now, I think 4.5 games is doable, but again, they have to leapfrog. It's not just 4.5. You've got to leapfrog, Toronto, Boston, the Angels, all these teams that are in this wild card hunt, the Yankees. So it's going to be harder this year. I still think they can do it, but you're right. Like it's, you can sit there and say it's only this time of the season, but they all count for one game. Get them while you can. And we see how tough the schedule is going to get too.
And another good point by William Cook. Last year, they played 19 times against each other in AL West, and now it's a lot less. So it's going to be much more difficult to make up for those kind of games, which is why I don't like what Major League Baseball did. Now, I'm not saying it as an excuse. Like, if the Mariners miss the playoffs, I'm not going to just blame it on silly scheduling. I'm just going to say that it does take the competition away, and it does take away, like, the tension of each divisional rival. Like that just completely just taken away. But of course they got to put too much interleague. Not going to say I'm using an excuse. I mean, I can come up with hundreds of different reasons why the Mariners are not doing exactly how we would like them to do. But I will say that the scheduling in a baseball standpoint, I don't think is necessarily good. And I even know people who didn't even like interleague when it started in 1997. They think it should have stayed as is, where it's just you wait until the World Series. But it is what it is. But
it takes away some of that mystique. It takes away that.
Manfred is really just he's cutting legs, he's cutting organs out of the fun of Major League Baseball. But I think that is all we've got on what to look forward to or what to dread for. But now this is going to be all about me, but Mr. J Trotton Podcast, take me back of the last week of baseball ever since the Texas series, because the last time I was really engaged was the Brian Wu game when he just got spanked really badly. But what were notable things that happened since the Padres series?
Oh my goodness, we took going back to probably the most disappointing road trip of the season, just because they came off pretty good homestand. They went 7-3 in that homestand. Despite losing the series to the Yankees, it was overall a solid homestand. You go on the road. Obviously, Texas just spanked them 3 days in a row. Well, the first game was close, but the last two were blowouts. They got it together game one in San Diego. Logan Gilbert was fantastic in that game. Julio homered, Teoscar homered, kind of the start of his hot streak. So that was a solid win. They won 4-1. Big thing in that game and big thing overall, Andres Munoz is back, and he looks like Andres Munoz of last season. To start the year, I didn't think he looked quite as sharp. He wasn't striking out a lot of guys. He was still getting outs. He's back to striking out guys. He is 100% back. That was the big story in San Diego for the first game. Game two was that Kirby clunker. It was over by the 4th, 5th inning. In LA, that was a little better. The first game was close. Castillo pitched okay. He was pretty dominant, 10 strikeouts. Gave up a couple home runs to Ohtani and to Moniak. Homered off of him as well. And the Mariners, they've kind of done offensively what I've talked about a lot in my post games. They actually did a pretty good job against Ohtani. They worked walks. They got base runners, but they're just not getting that one hit to knock these guys out. And they didn't get that on Friday. Saturday, Brian Wu, I thought, was fantastic and a great bounce back start from him. And I thought in my post game in Texas, I said I thought his stuff looked really good. He was just too middle in Texas. It was too much, to Simeon and Seager. It was kind of like get me over fastballs that just aren't going to cut it in the major leagues. But he was great. Even the pitch he gave up the home run to Ohtani to was like an inside slider that I mean only Ohtani could hit that pitch out. So he was fantastic. And then Sunday, Logan Gilbert really struggled. It was disappointing because I thought that would have been a big series win for them. But the bats looked better. The pitching was pretty rough. And not a great road trip overall, especially when this team was needing to get some wins. But Munoz, was definitely the big positive coming out of it for me.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching the Brian Wu game when it was against Texas, and I remember I tortured myself doing a live show, and it was so bad that after like a home run, when it got to like 16, I'm like, yeah, I'm out. I gotta go. But man, where was I? So the one thing I noticed about Brian Wu, his stuff was not in question. He was still striking out guys. It was just his pitches were just too predictable. Like I barely saw him throwing like other nasty stuff. Now I will say this, and then I'm a minority in this, but I still think personally, because I don't think Brian Wu's just there yet. The talent is there. There is zero question about that. But the only pitches I really saw from him was like just a fastball, and I think maybe a slider. Like other pitches, I'm wondering what else he has, but it looks like he's still got some work to do and develop before he could actually contribute to this team long term.
Yeah, he did mix in a two-seamer. I don't know if he threw it in Texas. It had some nice movement on it. I don't know if it was supposed to be a fastball, just his fastball's got that movement, but he threw a couple of them. If you go back and watch that game, it was like 95. He threw a couple that were just pinged. The slider wasn't great, but it was enough where it wasn't, it was enough to get hitters off balance. He threw one really good slider to Hunter Renfroe to strike him out, which was really impressive. I'm with you. He's probably not quite ready. And this is the unfortunate, with Robbie Ray going out and then Marco being hurt as well. You've really had to go into your depth. And, I will say this, I'd rather watch Brian Wu than, and no offense to him, but than Tommy Malone or Chris Flexen go out there and start. At least with Wu, there's some, you can see the upside. You know what I mean?
There's still the upside. Like Chris Flexen's pretty much, unfortunately, a dud. And I think that injury of Marco Gonzalez might just be the final nail in the coffin for him, unfortunately. Now, I know there's a lot of Marco Gonzalez haters, and I'm not the one to hate on him, but I am disappointed in him. But sometimes the lifespan just cuts out at some point. But it's really sad that a lot of people totally forgot about Marco Gonzalez on how good he really was before 2021. In 2020, he was the number one pitcher. He was fantastic during the COVID year. But now we got some comments that are just really popping. We got our friend Josh of Houston. Congratulations for the win, though the funniest game was the A's beating the Rays.
6 in a row for the swinging A's.
Swinging A's, huh? 6 in a row. I wonder how everything's going with the Oakland situation. I haven't really caught up with that, but I think you had something to say. I accidentally cut you off.
No, you're good. You're fine. Yeah, I haven't kept up with that either, but they've got Blackburn back in the rotation. I think they got someone else back. They're not good. They're still bad, but it's amazing how you can go from worst team ever to somewhat competent. Now, you look at the rotation, Sears, Blackburn, they've got some at least actual major league pitching in there now. So good for them. Good for the A's, good for their fans. I hope the
A's, absolutely. Yeah. I hope they figure it out, which I've heard it's been really weird. Like I heard Vegas is like iffy about the stadium, and Miss Shang Tao, of mayor of Oakland, she was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take a phone call if," and I'm like, "Girl, call Fisher and tell him what you've got. Don't just sit on your butt and wait on it. Otherwise, you will be the mayor remembered for letting the Oakland A's leave for Vegas." So I think you should start being persistent. I know you have to play like the whole let them come. No, sometimes you just got to step up to the plate, and that's something she's just got to do. And whenever she says, I'll answer the call, I'm like, no, you dial the call and see what you can put to the table. But
step up for your
none
fans.
of my business. Now, Josh also said, hopefully someone can catch the Rangers. Well, absolutely. And I will say this, that the real reason, in my opinion, why the Texas Rangers are actually good this season, and it's not because of their crazy signings they did, like DeGrom, who was out for the season, and other players. It was the hiring of Bruce Bochy. And I think a lot of people, including myself, heavily put that on the radar as an actual good move. I wanted to say it was a sleeper move, but I was just too lazy to edit that part in one of my preview videos. And yes, I actually was going to put it in the cut, but it didn't. But Bruce Bochy is a huge reason why that team is actually doing really well. Don't forget, he took the Padres to the World Series in 1998 and 3 championships with the San Francisco Giants. And it wasn't like it was like ancient history. It was still within 10 years that it did happen. And then what else we've got here? We got a lot of comments. Oh, I want to talk about this one. Animal Sanctuary. He asked me, what are my thoughts on Trevor Bauer, who is in Japan? Now, some of you guys, if you are going to be uncomfortable with this, I am going to just let it all out on what I think of Trevor Bauer. First off, I think the whole Trevor Bauer thing was just unfairly blown up. I think it only happened because whoever he was dating, first off, the chick bragged about it on her Instagram or TikTok or whatever it was, or Twitter, basically showing Trevor sleeping. I know I shouldn't be saying too much. This is way rated R stuff, but she bragged about it. That it's like, oh, look at me. I was sleeping with Trevor Bauer. Oh, and then claimed for harassment and then turned it into this whole sexual harassment or disaster when she was the one that consented to it. And it turned into a very unnecessary story. And I was actually the minority that said the Mariners, I think, should have at least took a look at Trevor Bauer, but they don't like him because from what I heard, the media says that he's a cancer. And I actually do think that is a little bit blown up. But now he's in Japan because nobody wanted to take a chance on him. But in my opinion, I think Trevor Bauer's story was just blown way out of proportion. And I'm sure other major league players do that. But some, you know what's, like to take advantage of a guy's money. And I think she was just going after his money. Now, what are your touchy thoughts on this Jake Tron podcast? You don't have to say anything, but go ahead.
I'll be honest, I have not kept up with that a whole lot. I knew there was some stuff that came out. I usually don't get in. I know he's been struggling in Japan. I would probably tend to lean with what some of these things just, it's unfortunate. And I think teams kind of jump to conclusions sometimes with, oh, this guy's cut and this guy's gone without getting, two sides of the story to find out sometimes what's going on. I will say, I think Bauer, didn't he go on though to do a bunch of he came off kind of arrogant in some of it too, if I remember correctly. So that doesn't help either. But, at this point, probably not sign him because he's been terrible in Japan. But I think he got promoted to their minor league, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, I have not kept up with that a whole lot. I usually stay out of those things just because, I try and focus.
It's one of those boomer bust kind of things for the YouTube channel. Either it will completely blow it up or it will completely nuke it.
Exactly.
I don't know, but I don't really care that much. But now we got Josh going, A's World Series or bust. Yeah. Do you know what's the A's World Series? Getting their stadium in Oakland and staying there. That's their World Series right there. Just came from that game. I have tickets for all 4 games in that series. I have no idea what that is. And I wonder what all the other people said. I'm just going to go through all of these. Vegas wants their own team. They don't want Oakland. Yeah, I can't blame them. Yeah. Trevor Bauer passed his prime, but his prime was prime. That's true. I do not like him. Well, that's your opinion.
That's fair.
Simeon, currently 33 games with a hit.
Streak.
Okay.
Yeah, hit streak.
Kansas City is another Oakland win away from becoming the worst team in MLB.
Yeah. Kansas City should be thanking everybody that Oakland's around because no one's talking about how awful the Royals have been. I hope the A's pass them because the A's we knew were going to be terrible. The Royals kind of thought they might have some of these young guys take a step forward, and they've been even worse.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't even know who that is. Let's look at more.
Manager of the year, I agree.
Oh, Moses gave me I think he gave me the face palm. He didn't like my comments. Oh. Say I didn't hear this. Fame Seeker Gal. I think he actually agreed with me. Dang. I didn't have any context on this, but I heard he did some bad stuff, which I still thought was blown out of proportion. Oh, women never do that. Ha, ha, ha. Okay, I think William Cook was on my side on this one. Altuve and Jordan for the All-Star game.
What about Altuve?
Not in Seattle, boy. He's a Houston guy.
Kramer Valdez too.
If it was a Japanese girl, that's what is this? What kind of fans do you have? I kind of love your guys already, which is why I want them on my channel so they can put some stuff in my channel. What are your thoughts? Oh,
that's a good question.
We were supposed to talk about this.
I forgot about that they signed Didi Gregorius.
Didi Gregorius, former star for the New York Yankees, who the Mariners just signed to a minor league deal pretty recently because Colton Wong is
terrible.
Not doing it right. He is doing it wrong. Wow, I can't believe I said that. But yeah, Didi Gregorius, I guess he's in the minors. It was a complete depth move, and I think once he is warmed up in the minor leagues, and if he rakes it in the minor leagues, I totally expect him to take over Colton Wong's spot because I don't think there's any room for Colton Wong. Got Dylan Moore back. Then you got Jose Caballero, who's just stepped out of nowhere. And then you got Didi Gregorius just warming up in spring in the minor league ball. I think time is running out for Colton Wong unless he really does something just completely insane.
Yeah, Colton Wong, I think they're going to make a roster move here soon because, at some point, Sam Haggerty, they're going to get him back. I don't know if Didi Gregorius is the answer, but at this point, anybody that's a live body that can play some second base, it is worth giving them a shot. And he's left-handed as a hitter, so that helps. And kind of because I think that's the reason they've kept Colton Wong is that it's somebody that can hit from the left side, whereas if you just go with Dylan Moore and Caballero, you're going 2 right-handed bats. And literally, you could bring up Gregorius tomorrow. He cannot be worse than Colton Wong has been. Knock on wood there. But
huge knock on wood on that one.
I don't expect anything from Gregorius, but I think Colton Wong's days are
I haven't really heard anything from Gregorius. I'm looking up the Twitters right now, and the most recent thing I've heard is Didi Gregorius deal with the Mariners will include a $1.5 million incentive performance bonus if he makes the major league team. According to a source, he is going, I guess he's obviously going to start in AAA, which makes a lot of sense. So stay tuned for you Rainiers fans to see how he does. And hey, maybe we will, if the timing is right, maybe we will cover a Rainiers game, which we can do. We just got to log in and subscribe to their minor league streaming stuff, which is actually pretty cheap. It's around, I think it's like $40 for the whole year. And I think it gets even less as season progresses, but I could be wrong.
If you subscribe to the MLB, do you automatically get the minor league one or no?
No, you have to get a completely separate package. I did it for the entire 2019 season, and that's where I watched Kelenic pretty much throughout the entire thing when the Mariners were having a tank job.
Yep.
But I will say the last game, because today's a Monday, I'm pretty sure, yeah, today's Monday, so they're looking at the Rainier stuff right now. So let me take a look. Trying to see how the Rainiers did. And June 10th, that was like the most recent thing. Didi Gregorius still has not played yet as of that time. So that is when we'll have to stay updated and see where it's at. But I'm going to take a look at the Rainier schedule and see where it's at. It'll take some time to load. You don't have a good computer, but whatever. So it's been since the 11th of June since they have played. Let me see that box score there too. Might as well. Gregorius looks like he still did not play that game. Looks like he is still like getting used to things. So he still hasn't played yet. So the next games will be at home versus Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's going to be a 6-game series. So maybe when we know Gregorius plays, maybe we will coordinate something of having some kind of live show because I think it would be kind of fun to subscribe to that. And you, Jay Trident Podcast, would you subscribe to that? And so we can watch it together and do a play-by-play.
Definitely, especially if the major league team doesn't stay competitive. We got to have something to keep people watching as well. So some focus on some of the minor league guys would be awesome to do. So
I think it's something we should like mix things up because minor league baseball is one of those underlooked things. And I still think it is. And if for anyone that hasn't been to a minor league game, you should check it out. Go to Everett if you're in the Seattle area. Go to Tacoma. You get that nice small town feel. It feels like true local baseball. Because when I go to Seattle sometimes, it just feels too big and overwhelming. But when I go to a minor league game, I feel just completely relaxed. You don't have to care if they win or lose. You just have to care if those prospects are doing well, which is not as high pressure feeling. But we got some comments to catch up on because your fans love to engage more than my fans, awesome. I guess.
They're the best.
But yeah, thanks to Lane with giving us a conversation. Kanye West is the best player in the Tigers and Mariners. I wonder what that even means.
I know he's a Tigers fan. I know Animal Sanctuary is a Tigers fan.
That makes sense.
I'm not sure about the Kanye West thing, but
yeah, those Tigers, all right. They are a very interesting team. I don't even know what these guys are talking about. Animal Sanctuary also says, why can I be born in Texas so I can root for the good teams? Oh, yeah, from someone from Detroit. Yeah, I can't blame you for saying that. Because the Lions, Lions are going to be decent. Lions are better, but other than that, before that, your only notable players were Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, and Matthew Stafford. Everything else was like Golden Tate, I guess. I only know that because I'm a Seahawks fan, but poor Lions and that 0-16 thing. Yep, sorry, I had to do that. Yeah, someone's laughing.
Multiple teams to root for.
Hannah, this is not about soccer, not now, but thank you for engaging in it. But keep going on to my soccer videos, which I do have on my channel, and blow those comments up. Don't let the bats cool off. Well, obviously, we don't let the bat. Saves on travel expenses. Oh, I think William Cook is saying that minor league baseball is much cheaper. Cheaper tickets. You've got, I guess, cheaper concessions, and also a lot more small business options around the stadium, like across the street from the stadium or within proximity. So give those small businesses your money. Moses, I missed the Aqua Sox. Moses, do you live near Everett or did you move away from Everett? William says, I grew up 10 miles from Cheney Stadium, went to hundreds of games there. Twins, A's, AAA. These were the first two teams. Awesome. What years were you watching Tacoma? I'm curious about that. At least they don't have Jerry Jones. Well, Jerry Jones, at least at some point, got the Cowboys a few Super Bowls. Yes, that was like a Jimmy Johnson thing with that Herschel Walker trade. But Jerry Jones's name is still on it because for the Mariners ownership, they don't have a World Series to their name.
Well, Jerry Jones, I will say before we go for like not hating on the comment because I know people love to hate on Jerry, but honestly, of all the owners, like Jerry at least cares. He spends money. He's probably a little too invested on the football side. He should probably give the GM duties. But, man, I wish the Mariners had an owner like Jerry Jones.
I wish we had pricks like George Steinbrenner, too.
Yeah.
Because at least he put his heart and soul on that team. And he bought the Yankees when nobody wanted them.
Yeah, exactly.
And he took a chance, and look what happened. Is he the reason why the Cowboys haven't won a Super Bowl? Well, I guess so. I mean, but
he's definitely done some things wrong, but at least there's an investment in his team. Where some of these, like the Mariners ownership, I sometimes wonder about their investment. I don't think Jerry's like the best GM, but I respect his like want for his team and his
desire to win.
The Dallas Cowboys, and I respect that.
So I heard Eminem is a Detroit fan. I wouldn't blame him if he dissed. Yeah. Yeah, Moses is very far. He's from Tucson.
Oh, cool. Arizona.
Late 60s. So William Cooks was watching Rainier's baseball that time.
That's awesome.
Oklahoma City Dodgers are in a great location considered they are in a brick town where a lot of businesses are. So that is all of our minor league baseball talking. I'm trying to think what else have we missed. Now, actually, let's do this. Let's see if these people have any specific questions for us because maybe we will cap it at around the 1 hour time.
Yep.
So does any of you guys have any questions on our thoughts on the Mariners, thoughts on baseball, the future of our channels? Well, until then, we're going to talk about the fact that on Friday, tentatively speaking, because one of my jobs is always has last minute situations. So there's always a chance I won't make it. But of course I communicate with that guy, but we are planning to do a live baseball show where we do the play-by-play, just like the guys on the radio. So we will do that for the White Sox Mariners game. So we'll do that. And I'm going to also take a look at the Didi Gregorius lineups. If he is in, we may be considering doing a live show for that. So please join that if we do that. And looks like no one really has questions at all now. But yeah, let's stay tuned for Friday, and we will always keep you updated of when we're going to do all these post-game shows or we do these in-game shows. Oh, I guess Animal Sanctuary. So I bought tickets to Detroit versus Mariners in July. Do y'all think I can finally bring good luck to the Tigers?
Yes.
Well, do they usually win when you're there? I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
But I guess one of my Oh, what do you think of the NE?
The Nay. Is New England something
Lane, can you be a little bit more specific on that one?
The New England Patriots? I don't know. The Netherlands?
Definitely not New England Patriots. I really wouldn't know what this is. But Lane, do you got something? I would kind of curious what you're talking about.
The new rules, anything that begins with any.
Oh, Lane, you lost me, man. So now it looks like we have a lot of new audiences out there. Now I'm gonna show one of my videos because new audiences are here. Oh, what do you think of the new MLB rules?
New MLB rules. I said new MLB rules.
Okay, so I will go first on this one. So the new MLB rules that are most notable. First, I will count the extra inning rule where the guy's on second base as still a recent rule. We got the pitch clock, and any other rules that we can think of? I think those were the only two big ones.
I mean, you could count maybe facing the three batters is kind of new if you want to lump that in there.
Obviously, I don't like the new three batters. I think is it the bare minimum requirement to face?
You have to face three unless it's the last out of the inning. Then you can only face one. So,
I will say, I don't like that rule because if someone's doing bad, then they're doing bad. So I think managers should be allowed to manage however they want. And this is coming from someone that doesn't even like Scott Service, but he's the manager and he makes his decisions. So I don't think that the commissioner of baseball or whoever should have their hand on how everyone runs their team, just like how I say how the government is telling people to live their lives. So I don't like that one. I think the shift rule was completely pointless. Yes, it's supposed to make the game more fun, but it just takes a strategy away. And the way I see it, it really doesn't look that much different anyway. And of course, larger bags, I didn't really mind that one, I guess, but makes stealing bases too easy, I guess. I mean, imagine Ricky Henderson was in this league. He would be tearing up this league without even trying. And then we've got, and position players being the pitchers. Yeah, not really a big fan of how they did that. And I think I call that the Ohtani rule because obviously they made those rules just so Ohtani can pitch and hit every single game that he possibly can. And I don't like the extra innings guy on second base, because that rule was based on accommodating for something where a game going 15 plus innings happens once in every blue moon. But hey, when it always happens, it does jack the ratings up and makes conversations. And then the pitch clock, here's my thing. I will only support the pitch clock if they just get rid of the extra innings rule. Then I'll support the pitch clock. But those are my thoughts on all those rule changes. Now, Mr. J. Trident Podcast, what do you got?
Fine with the pitch clock just because the Mariners games are always late, so it helps me get to bed. I don't know how much I love it for the rules, but I'm fine with it. Same with the extra inning, the guy on. I don't like that rule, but again, there's some games 10, 10, 30, I'm exhausted. So for that, I'm fine with it. I do not like the facing three batters because I think it takes away the lefty specialist. And I'm with you. If a manager wants to take a pitcher out after one pitch, that's his prerogative. I don't like banning the shift. Again, if you want to put all 9 guys standing in center field, that's up to you. Same with football. If you want all 11 guys running around behind the line of scrimmage, not offsides, then who cares? That's your decision. It might not work out, but that's up to the coaching staff where they want to put guys on the field. Large bags don't care. what are some of the other ones? Oh, I don't like the minimum pickoff attempts. I know that sounds crazy because some guys pick off like 8, 9 times, but I do think it takes away some of the strategy. Like you're trying to keep, like you said, like a Ricky Henderson, like you're going to throw over more than 2 times. Like it's just part of the game. What was some of the other ones? The Ohtani roll. I might get some flack for this. I hate like that Ohtani gets to come out as a pitcher and still hit. I'm sorry. Like
I don't like it either. When I first saw that, I thought that was stupid because that just takes away the challenge of and the strategy. And look at the Angels. They are still like, remember last year, that rule was still there for him, and the Angels still stunk the big one.
And let's say, like, hypothetically, it's not true, but let's say Julio was like just an awful center fielder and he's only in there for his bat. Can the Mariners take him out and leave his bat in the game? Why can't they do that? How come the Angels get to take Ohtani out and still let him hit, but we can't take out a defensive liability and then have that person still staying for their bat? If a guy comes out of the game, comes out of the game.
Yeah, it's just completely unfair. Now, what are your thoughts on the Canadian guy who was the best pitcher last year, but the pitch clock got him lost?
Manoah. He's talking about Alek Manoah. I think he just regressed. I don't know if it was a pitch clock. I know he said he mentioned the pitch clock being an issue. I don't know. I don't follow the Blue Jays enough to really know why he's been struggling. I just know he's been really bad. He was the guy that made the comment last year about pressure in the playoffs. He's like, pressure is something you put in tires, and then the Mariners blasted him. So I don't follow enough to really know all his mechanical issues, but it could be the pitch clock because he was a slow pitcher.
Got a hot button question. How is the government telling people to live their lives? Which I was saying that. I will say, Leaf, join me for some coffee and we'll have a talk. I don't want to go too far on that one. I just say things and it's funny. Oh man, where else are we at? Man, so many of them. You guys, I remember I was telling them about to ask a question, and as soon as I said I'm going to show my YouTube video, then everyone just blasted questions. 30 over and under. If you guys had a walk-up song, what would it be? So, Mr. Podcast, what is your walk-up song?
I have no idea. I am not much of a music guy. I would go something ridiculous just to make people laugh. Some kid's song just to be funny and hilarious and stupid. I don't know. I'm not hip for music, so I couldn't tell you.
I don't really have one either, but I will say I think one of my most favorite walk-up ones is I like Dan Wilson's Apache when he was up on the plate, when it was like in his later years, other than the What a Man. There was Griffey with the Hey Ho. Oh, yeah. Ichiro always had like all the most popular songs on the billboards, and they just slapped it on there every time he was up to bat. Yep. But I think if there was a song for me, I'm going to go through my playlist and see which ones would fit the most for me. I'm not sure which ones work for me at all. Maybe Running Wild by Airborne. I'm sure everyone's heard of that.
Yeah, that's a good song.
Busy Earnin' by Jungle is maybe another song that I would put in for myself. Yep, maybe one of those two songs. I also have Good, Bad, and the Ugly theme on my playlist, but
that would be a good one. That's a good one.
But I'm not worthy for Clint Eastwood stuff. Now we still got.
I saw someone had a comment over under 30. I was going to ask what they meant by that. Over under 30.
Who knows? But these comments are just blowing up. Did you mention a shift rule? We did. Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like it because I get it. But if you want to put 9 guys wherever, that's up to the manager. Like, I don't understand why.
And some of those shift movements do backfire. Like, remember the Ichiro shift commercial? Now, you know what? I'm going to show something where doing the shift didn't necessarily work, but hey, they were entitled to do it. So I'm going to show that Ichiro commercial where it was called the 2003 Ichiro shift. And I thought it was one of the best commercials that I think that they have ever made out of all Mariners commercials. And it's still sad they didn't even make one for 2023.
Yeah, they don't do them anymore.
Here comes Ichiro. And Rick, they got the Ichiro shift on with all the infielders between first and second base. Now they're bringing the outfielders into play between second and third. And look at this. Here comes the whole bullpen to play the outfield. No problem. Teams will try anything to stop this guy. Ichiro lines one into the corner, and no one's going to get to it. My, oh, my. You got to hit them where they end.
Mariners baseball.
Yeah, I did love that because it showed that Ichiro has amazing contact. And now Lane asked a question. I think this is for both of us. And you know what we're going to do? And I think this should be the final question. And yes, I was going to show my YouTube video, but I don't want to drag the show any longer. But which Mariners commercial or which Mariners commentator is the best? Well, for me, as much as everyone says that it's all Dave Niehaus, rest in peace. I love you, sir. But Rick Riz is actually my favorite because when he was on the TV, he made the game way more exciting than it was necessary, as much as Dave Niehaus did. So Rick Riz is still my guy. He was the one that resonated with me the most. And I'll just slip this in there. My other favorite baseball commentator of all time is Tom Brenneman, but unfortunately he's got canceled because he just couldn't put the mute button in his mic. And how about you, Mr. Jay Trident? Who's your favorite Mariners commentator?
Of all time, it's Dave, but I love Rick too, just because they were the voice of my childhood, both of them. So obviously they'll always have a special place in my heart. Right now it'd be Aaron Goldsmith. I think Aaron's calls are good. I think he's got a good passion, understanding for the game. And I miss Mike Blowers. Hopefully Mike's doing okay because he's only done a few games this year. But I think overall the Mariners broadcast team is really good. Especially you watch some other teams where there's some rough ones out there.
They really are. And the only one I personally don't really like that much is just Dave Sims because it's just so cheesy. And the stuff he says, he's just trying too hard. But I like Aaron Goldsmith because of the energy. And he was one of those that just came out of nowhere. He's a very smart guy and he's very good attention to detail. So that's why I actually do respect Aaron Goldsmith, even though, of course, he doesn't have the nostalgia in me. He probably has nostalgia for the later generation. But fun fact, Aaron Goldsmith almost took a job in St. Louis. And at the last second, he decided to stay with the Mariners. And that actually would have been another way that could have made that offseason much more painful than that offseason was. Now, actually, at this point, I think we hit an hour at least, and I think we're going to stop here. But I definitely appreciate all you guys coming onto the show, and you guys just came in flaming questions at us, especially for this guy who wasn't even on a YouTube show for a week. And let's do this again. If you haven't subscribed to both of us, do that. Jay Trident Podcast, hit that button, subscribe button. For me, Rooftop Mariner, hit that subscribe button as I really do want to do this for the long term. I want to do this YouTube because it's just a lot of fun. Love to talk about baseball. Love to try to prove that I could do a better job than the likes of the Dave Smiths and the Goldsmith and the Rick Riz. But yeah, hit that subscribe button. And tentatively speaking, we will be back on Friday, but we will stay updated and see if that's still there. It's just as long as my phone doesn't buzz and someone says, "Can I please see you for an appointment?" Because that does happen last minute sometimes. And because it's Friday, sunny weather, I kind of do expect it. But we'll keep you updated. And depending on the Didi Gregoria situation, we will also keep a close eye on that and see when he's playing. And if the time is right for both of us, then we'll try to cover that game. And any final thoughts, Mr. Trident?
No, that's it. Again, for anybody that's coming from my channel, hit subscribe for Rooftop. Love you guys. I know there's some more comments and there's some new ones. So truly thank you to everybody that joined for my channel and Rooftop's channel. Truly, truly appreciate it. Love you guys and the engagement. William Cook's Animal Sanctuary. Who else is from
CK888, Miss Hannah. We got Josh.
Moses, Mr. Moses.
Definitely. Lane,
Leif, everybody that joined, appreciate it.
Pretty much. And I think we did name all of them, and they did carry this entire show, which you guys did. And please keep doing that going forward, and please just blowing up the comments. And this is going to conclude our show. And everyone have a great night, and go Mariners.
Go Mariners.
Go